A Marcela é Head de Inovação e Empreendedorismo do BBVA México, né? Responsável por fazer todo o relacionamento com o ecossistema mexicano e levar as APIX e a plataforma do BBVA para o mercado mexicano. Bom, essa é uma apresentação que vai ser feita em inglês, então queria que vocês me ajudassem a mostrar um pouco do calor humano brasileiro aqui, recepcionando a Marcela. Marcela, please. Would you come over?
No, it's all right.
Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you so much. Do I have a clicker? Sorry. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm really excited to be here. I have to confess that I'm not a technical person, and that this is my first time that I'm going to speak English in a presentation, so I hope I do it right. And if I mistake in somehow, just don't laugh at me, please. Well, can I think it's not working, I'm sorry. Okay, great. So my name is Marcela. I'm leading the innovation and entrepreneurship area in BBVA, Bancomer, which is in Mexico City. I used to work for the government for like 7 years. And for the past 3 years, I've been working with entrepreneurs and startups. And in the last 1.5 years, I've been working with BBVA. I have to launch the API market in July, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that because there's a lot of things that I'm going to talk about that it's kind of hard, in specific in Mexico, to build an API market. So I don't know if any of you knows BBVA. Can you raise your hand? Which one knows? Who knows about BBVA? Great. Okay, perfect. So this is Carlos Torres, which is our CEO. And in terms of disruption, we have 2 things that we want to do. First one is to work inside to have better methodologies, agile methodologies, to actually face other banks. So we're doing that, and we are working a lot to create better infrastructures, to have better methodologies so we can work on. But in the other hand, we have a challenge, which is creating new digital businesses. And we have a specific area that is reinventing the bank. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. We have 4 interactions, which is buy, partner, invest, and build. I'm part of new digital businesses in Mexico. And with buy-in, we have been doing this for the past 3 years. We bought Simple, Holby, and Atom, which are 3 digital banking. And we bought Spring Studio and Madivia, which is more like a design thing with Spring Studios. They've been working with us to create our UX department, which in Mexico grew from 1 person last year to actually 45 this year, because we are not experts in UX, right? And the thing is that we have to create better products for our customers, but we don't know how to do that. So we partner also with a lot of corporation, startups, enterprises that help us build also better products. For example, with Uber, we've been working in Mexico, so the drivers have an loan car, so they can buy their own car, and we've been working with a specific credit score for them. We invest in different startups, and we have invested in more than 10 startups for the past years with our fund that is in San Francisco, and we also build things. So these are the kind of things that we've been building for the past year and a half. I think in 2 years, perhaps. In Spain, we've been working with the API market. In Mexico, we've been working for the past year, trying to launch it, and it has been pretty hard. I hope we can do that in July. What we do here is that we understand that we are shifting from different businesses, right? So we have, instead of taxis, Uber, instead of hotels, Airbnb. And that's why we bought the digital bankings. Because here, for example, with Simple, they help us a lot to understand that we needed an infrastructure for others, right? Because they were the first digital banking, but they weren't able to connect correctly when we decided to buy them. So it was like a really pain for them to connect with the core bank, and it took us about 2 years to actually get a connection between them and us. And that's why Shamir, which was the CEO of Simple, became the CEO of the API market. And he's leading the strategy for that in Spain, US, and Mexico now. So the vision of the API market is to become the trusted platform, right? For other innovators that want to create other business. For customers and for other enterprises. And it seems that the opportunity is pretty big because there's a lot of new players in fintech that are offering better products than us, and then they need to connect with us in somehow. In Europe specific, there's a law called PSD2, which is forcing the banks to share all the information of their customers, because the information, it's not ours, it's the customers, right? But in Mexico, there's not such a law like that, and I don't think in Latin America we are going to be able to see something like this in, I don't know, at least in 2017. So the information is still a really big pain for us to share all the data. And here is an example of all the startups that are building things instead of just a whole bank, right? So this is the website of a bank, and you have all the different startups that are creating solutions and that they need to connect with us. So lending, mortgages, there's a lot of things, transfer, but APIs, it's more than just APIs. And in the bank, we have to struggle a lot for legal, risk, reputation, pricing, onboarding. And these are the things that we need to understand more. And we have been working a lot internal, so the people in the risk area understand why we need to do this. The legal department understand why we need to do this. And it's been a great journey to make them understand what's an API, what's an API market, and what are the different APIs that we want to launch, and then we think it's going to be available for the business in the bank and for the other companies. So with the open platform, we have 3 different products that we are thinking of. First is the data. In Mexico, we have the 43% of the market, which is a lot of information. In Latin America, we have offices in Argentina, Chile, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela. And we are not as big as in Mexico or Spain. So the information that we have in Mexico, Spain, and also Turkey, it's a lot. And people want to connect with us for that. We are also building a personal banking and an enterprise banking. So for the data API, it's called PayStats, which is all the information about our customers, right? So all the transactions that they've been doing, we have it in this API, and it's all protected, and it's you can look for that in different dimensions and analysis, or from a specific age person, like code area, specific zones. And I have a video that will show a little bit more about that. I don't know if you can show it. It's in the next slide. This is, it's a video that shows how you can select select the different areas that you want to, and you want to understand their behavioral in that zone. So if you're, for example, going to Mexico City, and you're going to find a house through Airbnb, and you're going to La Roma, which is the neighborhood where I live because I have my house in Airbnb, but you don't know how much you're going to spend in that area because you have never been in Mexico. So through this API, if we could connect with Airbnb, you will be able to understand how much will you spend in a dinner or in a restaurant, or I don't know, like in a specific area. So you can select your. We couldn't see that, right? We couldn't see the video. No? Okay, yeah. So if you're looking for your house in Airbnb, you can select your house in La Roma, and then you can understand how much will it cost you to spend the 5 days or six days that you're going to stay there. And we think we have a really good business with these different enterprises. In Spain, there's one called El Corte Inglés, which I don't know if you know them, but it's a really big supplier of clothes, shoes. In Mexico, it's kind of like the same of Liverpool. And we have a lot of information about their clients, and they can offer better offers to their clients. And we think it's a really good API that we're trying to build in Mexico. There's another one called BBVA Connect, which allows third parties to connect and have their all the information of a client through. I'm so sorry, I'm kind of nervous. I just have to wait like 10 seconds. Okay, so with the BBVA Connect, we can access to all the information and transaction services, and just allow others, third parties, to know what's going on with your accounts. So, for example, we have a client that authorized third parties to operate on and use all the data, and then you have all the other things that comes with that: your cards, loans, payments, and accounts, and of course notifications. So this all information allows others to build better products for them. So in the case of Simple, if we could have that in that time, Simple will be, it would be easy for Simple or any other banking to connect with us. This is an example that we are using in Mexico for the auto loan. And here is this startup, it's called Kavak, which they are buying cars, used cars, and they are showing them in their website. And that's just the thing that they do. I don't know if Mercado Libre is here, I think so, right? So you have kind of like the same also. In Mexico, we have also Mercado Libre. And you have these that are used cars. But when you are looking for a used car, there's only one car like that, right? So if you really like it and you really like the price, perhaps you have to be in the right time with the right offer to just get that car. So you select the car, and then there's the price in Mexican pesos, and then you understand how much are you going to ask for your loan. And then the time that you can just pay for the loan, right? And after that, we could have the BBVA Connect, where you can actually connect and use all the information if you are a BBVA customer. And on the other hand, you have the loan, right? Where you have to, if you are not a BBVA client, you have to put all your data. And then you have, well, all your information so we can give you the loan, right? References, personal references. And after that, we need to just have the information of the car. And this is a specific part where we need to understand if you're a good payer. I don't know if that's the correct word. We need to understand if you're going to pay us or not. So this is like 3 different questions. And after that, you just got your application for the loan. So in Kavak, that means, or Mercado Libre, that means that you are able to have that card just for you in a specific for 1 day. So nobody else can see that card, that offer. And if we give you that credit, well, you are going to be able to buy it. Building all that connection in Mexico has been really, really hard because there are a lot of things in the back that we weren't able to actually give the access to others. So in Mexico right now, we're doing this by hand. We try to understand if a client actually wants to have a loan online, because there's a lot of companies that don't have this. I don't know if here in Brazil you're able to do that, but in Mexico you are not. So not only with Kavak, but with all these different companies, right now we're working with the API auto loan because they want to give a better user experience for their customers. Not only BBVA customers, but all the customers. And even though in the fintech area, there's a really good opportunity for us, we understood that with all the companies, it's so much better it's not that it's better, but I think it's a really great opportunity for us to build, because they are willing to invest in their customer experience. So in Mexico, even though we have been working with a lot of startups, they are still too small to create better products. So So we have the business API also in Mexico that we are working on, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about just APIs. I don't know if you have seen this, but with the banks, there's only financial things. So we are not used to work with other actors that are more like startups or developers. So in the API market team, we've been working with external companies that help us create the API market. And we use something more like Sensedia. Yes? That's how I pronounce it, girl? Sensedia? Yes, sorry. It's a different company that help us create that API market. And on the other hand, we have a lot of developers from another company that it's also a joint venture from BBVA, because in the bank we didn't have the talent to actually create all the connections. So the 80% of the team was external, and now we changed that. We hired them for the bank, and we have only 10% of the people working from another company. Now, from that, we are moving to working with the developers that actually will consume all the APIs. So we are trying to understand how and what it's interesting for them to build. Because we have these examples from US and from Spain, but they are not the same example that we need for Mexico. So just in the case of PayStats and Connect, there's are the two things that are pretty similar to Spain, but we are trying to understand what is better for us to build in Mexico. I think I went really quickly, and I don't have more slides, but I can do a quick Q&A if you have specific questions regarding the API market in Mexico.
All right.
I'm sorry, I went too far. Fast, I think.
You can stay on stage and we can ask people for questions. A gente tem tradução simultânea, então pode fazer em português. Você está com um fonezinho, você pode até colocar o fone se alguém fizer perguntas em português. Eu tenho algumas. E a gente tem microfone também para levar para a galera. Perguntas? Vou fazer... Marcela, I will ask you the first question. Gartner, for example, is speaking a lot on when big companies are creating relationships with small startups and all those ecosystems that sometimes on the ecosystems you meet, they call frenemies. It's kind of friend and enemy together. So, for example, an external company that could create an alternative UX for a product that you already have. How BBVA approach this type of relationship or
Well, that's why I'm also there, because what I need to understand is how these companies can also help us grow with more customers, right? So, for example, in the lending part, in Mexico, we are not able to lend like 6 million people in the bank that are currently, they are our clients because they have a card with us, but we are not able to lend any kind of money. So there's a lot of startups in Mexico that are lending these people, like crowdfunding lending, or just a startup that needs to lend about $100 from 100 to 500 US, right? But they don't have an account. So, for example, with the API market, we have the API account in Mexico, which you can open an account, and you are not going to be able to see that that's a BBVA account, right? So these startups need a place to actually give the money to their own customers. And in the other hand, we're going to be able, if they open an account with us, they go to the startup, they ask for the money, and they open an account with us, and we're going to be able to understand their behavioral, right? So if they have a good behavior of payment, we are also partnership with these startups to give another loan to that person once we saw that they are a good payer, right?
So it's very case by case. It varies case by case. And
yes.
It's your team the responsible for analyzing the opportunities and allowing or defining the terms and conditions to use the API?
That's in the data analytics teams. And what we did with the API market team is that we have different people from different areas of the bank. That's something that it was kind of difficult to have, because we are asking for a specific area of the bank to give one person to the team, and so we can have their insights. So we have a risk specialist, we have all the open platform team that it's actually building and creating all the APIs. So we took a lot of person from the architecture department. We have a business part also, and from the data and analytics teams. So we understand if that's something, if we want to partner with that startup, if that's something that is going to be to add value to the bank. And in Mexico, we are understanding right now if we want to keep going into that way, just like Spain and US, or if we are going to be able to if we are going to select case by case, or let just the API market open to any other person. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any business model around the API? Do you charge for external companies to invoke the API, or it's related to the business model of the product being sold, or how do you approach that?
That's a really good question, and I'm sorry that I didn't talk about that, because right now all of them are free. We are trying to understand which APIs are going to be charged and which one knows. Because if one person wants to open an account with BBVA and uses the API account, it's a good business for us. But if someone that wants to use PayStats, we need to understand how are we going to build. But in Mexico, it's still so young and we haven't existed yet that we are talking case by case to understand what our customers need. We are right now open and we haven't actually launched it. Right now we are in a test period with some startups, and we pretend to keep like that for at least the end of the year, and understand what APIs that we are building are going to be charged and which one knows.
All right, great. Tem pergunta aqui. Alguém pode trazer o microfone? Tem aqui também. Tem uma ali, ó, primeiro.
Alô.
Vai lá.
Morning. I'd like to ask you about the process to construct vision on the API initiatives you had, because I think from the beginning you didn't have a vision. You may have just the ideas and the initiatives, and I was curious about it because it was very clear in your presentation, but I think it was not clear from the beginning. What do you think about it?
What happened is that we bought 3 different banks, and the first one in US and the other 2 in Europe, and they weren't able to connect with a core business, right? So we wanted to have different clients and different segments from these banks, and that's why we bought them, but we weren't able to actually connect with them. That's when we actually understand that we needed a platform so that others can connect from that vision. And from the other hand, if we couldn't buy that bank, we need still something that allows us to connect from others, to have a specific business line or business area to connect with all the different products that we can still offer. There's a lot of people that doesn't want to have a relationship with a bank. And there's a lot of millennials that are not connecting with a financial institution, right? And there's a really good segment there that we are not able to be part of it. That's why we decided to create the open platform and the API markets, so that others can build better products. And in that way, it's a new business for us, right?
Bem, a gente trabalha num grande banco também, e a preocupação quanto a essa informação está trafegando, como a legislação de cada país é diferente, como que você trafega essa informação e o quanto de informação você dá para o seu parceiro, por exemplo. E aí, como proteger o cliente final, no caso, por exemplo, de cliente ter uma informação divulgada e ser fraudado com aquela informação, né?
Did the translation worked?
Well, so in Mexico, we are the bank that is talking with the authority and to let them understand what an API is, what it's an API market, and why that benefits to the customers. For the past year, we managed to create a really secure platform, right? And that's something that took us a lot to create that platform to actually connect with all the different parts of the bank. But we are not able to launch it because we're still really young with the legal part. And we've been working a lot because right now we are not able to use a cloud like Amazon to transfer all the data because the Amazon services are outside the country. And those are the really small things that we are fighting with. But us as a bank, we understand that this is really important to build. We know we have been building. We are going to keep building APIs even though we are not launching the API market, because when it's the right time, we know when all the laws allow for us to have an API market, we are going to be ready. And I think that's, I don't know if that's the good way to see it, but I think it's a really good to keep working and keep building. And I hope in July the law changes and we can actually launch the API market. That's the thing that we are facing in Mexico, and I think it's a similar thing for the Latin American countries. In Europe, with this law, with the PSD2, they changed everything, right? And the thing that the team in Europe tried to launch for a long time, now they are forced to actually launch it, but they didn't wait for that law to actually launch and then start building. They start building before everything all the law was ready. So they start building, they start trying, they find several partners, they understood their business model, and now they just launched, I think 15 days ago or 1 month ago.
Okay, so you believe that the owner of the data is the customer, and if the customer consents, you can provide a secure way for external partners to access that data with the customer consent.
Yes, that's the thing that we build actually. And so there's the two ways, right? There's a lot of people that doesn't want others to have their information, and that's okay. I mean, at the end, you are the owner of your information, and we think that way is the correct way to do it. But there's a lot of people that actually it's ready, and they agree to share all the information. And for we think pay stats, it could be a really good way, or connect also.
In Mexico, is there a multi-bank kind of personal banking experience like Mint or?
No, in Mexico there's one. There's a lot of financial applications that allows you to understand how do you spend, but you have to do all that manual. And there is one startup called Albo, which they are trying to go into the personal banking, but at the end, they are more like a prepaid credit card. So it's different, their model, and right now there is nothing like that.
An opportunity for Guia Bolso. Yeah. It's a Brazilian famous startup.
Over there they have a question. Oh, sorry.
In Brazil, we have a very bureaucratic process in taking a loan. Is the auto loan 100% online process, given the high values of the loans?
Yes, right now, the thing that we build is only for asking a loan, right? So right now, then that's something that if the law lets us, we will be able to use Amazon. If not, we're going to use another cloud. But right now, you're able only to ask for a loan. At the end of this year, what we want is for you to do everything that has to do with your loan in Kavak or Mercado Libre. So if you want to pay your loan, you can do it through that website. Or if you want to understand how many deposits you still need for ending the loan that you have, you can do it through that website. But right now, you can only ask for a loan.
How long does it take to get the loan approved?
1 day. Yes, it's not like automatic. Right now we're trying to build it as fast as we can. But what you saw right now, there's the people in the back from Kavak calling the people from BBVA, giving them all the information, and we are actually understanding what we need to build in the real life of the bank to actually give the customers that experience.
That's real integration.
Yeah.
Okay, and as he mentioned, some Brazilian startups must do crawlers and hacks to get information from banks. If in Mexico any new startup has an idea and you guys still doesn't have the API needed, is there a channel to then get in contact and ask for any kind of new API from the bank?
Well, right now they are not able to connect with us in any kind, and that's why we want to build the API market. What we have done is we have worked with them to give them a specific fake information, and so they can create the product that they want. And when we are ready to launch the API market, they can actually connect with us. But right now, they are not able to have information from our clients.
Is there a developer website available for?
For Mexico, no. We're going to have the same one as in US, as in Spain. But we right now are in the very process of having all the permission and all the permissions, not only from outside but from the bank itself, because people from the legal department, from the risk areas, from the compliance, they don't understand what's an API, what's the value for that, how are we going to make money of that. And we are trying to make them understand that it's something that is going to be the next business for the bank in the next perhaps 5 years or 3 years, right? So we need to change that vision, and that's something that we have been doing for the past year, not only building the API market, but also working with their mindset.
But in Spain and in the US,
we already have the website. It's BBVA-ipmarket.com. Yeah.
Okay, great. Mais alguma? Para cá tem algumas.
Bom dia. Eu queria entender dois...
Só um segundinho para ela pôr o fone aqui.
Bom dia. Eu tenho duas perguntas. A primeira é o tempo entre o planejamento o tempo que vocês levam entre o planejamento da API até no momento vocês não estão disponibilizando, certo? Mas até a finalização da construção. E se vocês estão usando algum API Gateway, já estão utilizando algum API Gateway?
So first, it depends on the API, right? So we first understand if that's something that it's already built in the API for internal purposes. if it's already built, it's going to be so much easier for us to actually build the API for the open platform. So it took us around 3 to 4 months building the API. What it has been more painful is to understand the business model behind those APIs. So right now we have in the backlog around 4 different APIs that we're going to end building for the next 3 months. And I think we're going to be ready for that. But even though we are ready for having this API, we're still not able to actually launch it to the real users. But I don't know if that answers your question.
What are the key metrics that you're going to pursue to measure your success in this journey?
So for the loan, a specific API, we want to have the 10% of the auto loans come from the API market. So it depends on the specific API. For the opening account, it's going to be really hard to measure because, as I already told you, we have the 43% of the market share. So there is a lot of people that have a BBVA account, and we have the pay stats, and we're going to charge by calling. So we don't understand how it's going to be our business model for all the APIs. But we surely think it's going to be something that we need to do with our customers. And even though it's an API, we still have to do the traditional business way, right? So we are talking a lot with different customers, with different startups, with our customers that want to use, for example, the API auto loan. And we are trying to understand if they are willing to pay for something like this, or if they are not, and how much are they willing to pay. In the case of the auto loan, we, with the API, right now, we give them money to the different agencies to place auto loan in the traditional way. So in this way, we don't know yet if it's something that we're going to continue to do, or at the end they will have to pay us for using this API auto loan, because it's a business, it's a two-way business. They are giving the car and we are having a loan, right? So we are still working on that.
It's on beta. Mais uma ali, acho que a gente tem espaço para, deixa eu ver aqui o tempo, mais uma ou 2 questões no máximo.
What are you guys doing in order to control user experience in third-party apps?
Can you repeat the question, because I
Oh, no problem.
Where are you?
Here.
Ah.
I want to know what are you guys doing in order to control user experience in third-party applications? Because once you open, right, you don't have control in other startup or fintech channel, right? So what are you guys doing in order to control the user experience in other applications?
Yeah, for the API market, we have a specific sandbox, right? So you just log in and then you get access to the sandbox. And once you want to access to the real data, you have to sign a contract with us, and we have to see a lot of your information. And that's why we are not completely open. So there's still a part of the process that we need to check. And in specific, in Mexico, those are the rules that we are building right now with different areas of the bank.
But for example, the startup, the car loan startup,
the Kavak.
If they build a crappy experience for the customer, do you have any control?
No, we don't. In that case, they can do it whatever they want, but we need specific information so that the experience, so their client can access to a loan. So at least we understand that there is a specific information that they need to have from the customers. So if they don't have it, we're not going to be able to give them a loan, right? So.
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Just a question. This is about end user access using your APIs. Today in the world we have a lot of IoT. We have the famous IFTTT that you can integrate with everything. Do you have any plans on releasing the access to your API so your client can see his own data on your bank?
We haven't thought about that. I mean, at the end, it's something for developers, and if I don't know, if you want to access to your own account, we haven't thought about that. If that's the question that you're asking.
Yes, because today you have a lot of integrations where you have something like, oh, that's money on my account, so I can have something to send an email to someone telling that the money has arrived and something like that.
Or if you're building a macro Excel to access the API to automatically fulfill your personal finance.
Since, as you said, the data is from the client, he can literally do anything he wants.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, you have your online banking, and I don't know if you can. You can access to all your loans, credit cards, and all your accounts with the website or the application, and you are able to download it only in PDF, in Excel or something like that. You are not able to do that, but that's something that, for sure, if we think it's valuable for the customer, at the end we're going to be able to. We need to be able to build something like that. I don't know if that's going to be with the API market. I think it's going to be work that it has to be done from the team of the online banking and the application. But if that adds value to the customer, that's something that we're willing to do.
Só uma observação I will switch a little bit in Portuguese.
Sure.
No ano passado, a Fitbit apresentou e eles comentaram nos bastidores que eles têm mais de 20 mil developers que usam a API do Fitbit. Embora sejam 100 que são apps que realmente usam massivamente, a grande maioria são usuários do Fitbit, que são mais técnicos, né, savvy, e o cara quer acessar essa API para jogar em algum outro lugar, para integrar com alguma outra coisa, usando if this then that, ou sei lá, qualquer outra coisa. E a grande maioria eram de pessoas físicas comuns querendo pegar os seus próprios dados do Fitbit, né? Acho que é bem na linha do que você perguntou.
A ideia seria, por exemplo, eu falar para a Alexa dar o saldo do meu banco e pelo IFTT ela vai lá, por exemplo, e me fala, olha, agora na sua conta você tem tanto. E não precisar que o banco me faça uma integração com a Alexa, eu mesmo posso fazer simplesmente ligando pontos.
You have any experience on Alexa or Google Home, this conversational, like the Amazon Alexa, or Siri, or any experience integrating with those type of services that you recall?
No, right now, no. We haven't. We're not thinking about that. I think perhaps it's too soon for us to know all of that, because at the end, it has been a challenge to make all the team inside the bank understand what is this.
Kleber, aqui temos uma pergunta. Aqui?
Minha nossa.
Aqui. Na sua frente. Aqui.
Gente, a última, infelizmente. Vai lá.
How is your team structured to deliver those APIs and deal with all the concerns that you've shown on the iceberg slides?
So, how did we manage to do that? That's your question?
Yeah, how the team is structured, if they are working together or they are divided in silos?
Right now, the team, if you see the team from Spain and you see the team from Mexico, we are really, really small. We are only 5 people doing this. And in Spain, there is more than 15 people doing this. They are. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Spain because it's more interesting. They are divided by scrums. So each scrum is building a different API, right? And at the end, it's their activity to explain to all these different areas what's their API about. And also we have like the business part, which helps the different scrum to have a business from that API. And how did you decide if you want to build a specific API or not? You have a portfolio management, and you have to go there and prove that the next API is going to be valuable for the customers or the business. And we do this in a really easy way. We have a canvas, and then we show them the opportunity, and then we decide to build it. In Spain and in Mexico, we need to have the ability to build that in 3 months, and then have it's like the MVP. And then from that, we start trying, and then we start monetizing. Right now, we are not in the monetizing part. Right now, we are just building and try to understand how are we going to connect with others, and if that connection is a good one, how does the documentation looks like. We are in a really early stage.
Okay, great. So, bom, a gente não tem mais tempo. Marcela, I would like to thank you again for making the time, for making the trip
and for the patience. Thanks.